Before we start, take a breath and maybe keep your lights on. This story starts slow, but once you hear what police found inside that vault, you might wish you'd stopped watching. From a distance, the town of Snowtown, Australia, looks perfectly ordinary. Quiet homes, quiet streets, quiet people. But in 1999, when police stepped into an abandoned bank on its outskirts, they discovered something that would stain the name Snowtown forever. It all began with a smell. Thick, chemical, and just wrong. The kind of smell that hangs in the air like a warning. Officers traced it to a locked vault at the back of the building. Inside, sitting upright in the dim light, were large plastic barrels. Their sides were stained, their lids were swelling, and the air felt heavy, almost alive. When detectives finally pried open the first barrel, the truth rushed out in a wave of rot and silence. Inside was a human body, then another, and another. Years of disappearances, missing persons reports, and frightened whispers had been waiting inside these containers, preserved in acid and darkness. The quiet town of Snowtown had become the hiding place for one of Australia's most disturbing strings of murders. The killers, John Bunting and Wagner, didn't look like monsters. They looked like men you might pass in a grocery store. Neighbors said they kept to themselves. Police would later learn this quiet exterior was deliberate. It was a mask. Bunting, the leader, was cold and controlled. He believed he was cleansing the world of people he considered weak or immoral. Wagner followed him with an unnatural devotion. Together, they hunted men on the margins of society, men who wouldn't be missed quickly. Men they could manipulate with promises of help or friendship. Once inside their circle, the victims were terrorized, beaten, and forced to give up their PIN numbers and bank cards. Some were tortured for days. Some were even forced to call family members and pretend everything was fine. And when Bunting decided it was time, the men were murdered and packed into barrels, ready to be stored for future withdrawals from their accounts. The vault in Snowtown was chosen because it was quiet, forgotten, a place where the walls had no one to talk to. The investigation finally broke open when a relative of one of the victims grew suspicious. Small financial transactions continued long after the man had vanished. Police traced the activity back to Bunting and Wagner, and suddenly, loose threads everywhere began to weave themselves into a single, terrifying pattern. Inside the killers' homes, investigators found lists of names, torture tools, notes, photos, and chillingly precise instructions for how each victim should be controlled. Snowtown became the final chapter, a burial ground standing right out in the open. In the end, the barrels told the truth. They spoke for the men who could no longer speak for themselves. And the quiet town of Snowtown has never escaped the echo of what lived inside that vault.